in that place where the laws are being made for us Nigerians, there's only what, three, four women out of 100 and something men. What kind of laws do you think are going to be made on the behalf of women when the feminine voice in those spaces are very small? Hi guys, welcome back to TJ's View. And as you can see from the topic today, today's topic is going to be about a deep dive into feminism. And we cannot do that unscripted. So while we're usually unscripted on this channel, today there is a long script. So this video has actually been in the making for a very, very long time. Like I've been planning to make this video. In fact, this was supposed to be the first video ever on my channel. But things happened and the plans got rescheduled. But I decided that this video, I did a lot of research on it. I did like a thorough deep dive, and I feel like it's really, really important to get this out there. So now let's start with the script. So oh, I actually wrote an intro in the script. Like, let's see if I can read out the intro. Hi people, welcome to TJ's View. As the channel name suggests, the videos on this channel will be commentaries about my opinion on topics that influence society, especially the Nigerian society. Because if you didn't notice the accent, yeah, I'm a Nigerian lady from the Yoruba tribe. So some of my opinions and knowledge might be influenced by my background, which is actually really important for this video because we are going to be doing a deep dive into feminism, like Nigerian feminism specifically, right? So it's important that you guys also know I'm Nigerian and I have experience. I'm not just going to be throwing out statistics or random knowledge without actually relating it to like my own personal experience, which I know that is the same experience that a lot of other Nigerian girls like me have been through living in Nigeria. So I also do movie and series review when I'm reading everything from the script. Guys, bear with me. So I also do movie and series review all time and at times and manual reviews. Which reminds me, I uploaded a video on manuals, so please guys check it out if you enjoy it because I noticed that my manual reviews are actually like the most viewed on my channel. So if you guys actually like that, let me know and I'll keep doing it. Anyways, so yeah, look forward to seeing like movie and manual reviews from me. Um, I really enjoy watching like social and pop commentary, which is why like a lot of my channel is like more on social commentary. Actually, I don't really do pop commentary much because yeah, there are reasons, but I prefer doing social commentary. Anyways, so I got this idea from listening into a friend's conversation with a boss, a deeply misogynistic boss. Let's be precise about that. Not just a boss, a deeply misogynistic one. And she was trying to like convince them of the rights, like on the of the importance of the like of human rights. And the next thing she would say to him is like, "Oh, I'm not a feminist, but women rights are important and all of these things." And just hearing that conversation just convinced me of like the misunderstanding towards feminism in the like modern day society, like in this society that we live in at the moment. When people hear I'm a feminist or she's a feminist, what do they think about? Do they just see her as this deeply bitter woman that is just that has no juice, nothing, no sauce in her life or something? Or like there's just a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of stereotypes towards like feminists. And the thing is, while feminism is generally about equal rights for women, there are different waves to feminism. There are different aspects of feminism. There are different, like, it's a umbrella term, right? And it houses different like ideologies under it, basically. But each ideology is also still about fighting for like women's, equal rights, women's ability to succeed in this current patriarchal society, basically. Though if you ask me honestly, we should overturn society and make it matriarchal instead of patriarchal. Ha. But let's go on. So Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Since we're done with introduction, let's get right into today's topic. So, disclaimer, there's going to be a disclaimer for this video. Disclaimer: the video explores sensitive topics related to religious, traditional, and legal practices affecting feminism in Nigeria. It does not cover all tribes and perspective, or all tribes or perspective, and content may include discussion on violence and cultural practices aimed at promoting, but this video is aimed at promoting understanding, not bullying or isolating or talking down a certain tribe. That's not the goal for this video. Though you guys know my personality by now, but that's I'm really not going to be doing that. Or I'll try not to do that. So sensitive topics like domestic violence, rape, and FGM, female genital mutilation, is going to be mentioned. So be prepared. If you're uncomfortable with such topics, you can skip. I'm going to try to put timestamps so you can skip like anywhere those topics are mentioned. So let's get right into today's video. So what is feminism? I mean, we are all been saying feminism, feminism, feminism. What is feminism? Let me move closer to you guys so I can tell you. Guys, I'm going to be reading from the script a lot because like I did not memorize the script, and there's just a lot basically. Oh my god, I was going to draw mascara, I forgot. What is feminism? Feminism is a social, political, and cultural movement aimed at achieving equality between genders. It advocates for the rights and opportunities of women to be equal to those of men, addressing various forms of discrimination and inequality faced by women. Feminism encompasses a range of theories and practices, but its core goals include gender equality, empowerment, ending discrimination, intersectionality, and challenging patriarchy. Okay, now that I started speaking English, I realized I would not do the 1 minute silence. So, 1 minute silence for the word that are going to be butchered in today's video. Let's get right into it. So, I'm going to explain some of the terms that were mentioned earlier. So, gender equality. What is gender equality? Feminism seeks to ensure that individuals of all genders have equal rights, opportunities, and treatment in all aspects of life, including politics, education, employment, and personal relationships. So, ending discrimination. Feminists work to eliminate gender based discrimination and violence, including issues such as sexism, harassment, domestic violence, and unequal pay. Empowerment. The movement aims to empower women and marginalized groups by giving them a voice and advocating for their rights and autonomy. Challenging patriarchy. Feminism challenges patriarchy, system, and norms that perpetuate male dominance and female subordination. It seeks to dismantle societal structures that uphold these power imbalances. Intersectionality. Modern feminism acknowledges that gender inequality intersects with other forms of discrimination such as race, class, sexuality, and disability. This approach, known as intersectionality, recognizes that experiences of oppression are multifaceted and that solution must address these intersecting issues. So this is basically me just giving you guys a deep dive on like what feminism is, the core aspects of it, right? There are many aspects to feminism, but then there are also core aspects of what you know what determines or what feminism includes or focuses on or something like that. So basically, this is just like a quick breakdown into that. So now, feminism in Nigeria. Feminism in Nigeria emerged out of the demands of women to improve women's status and eliminate debilitating factors that deprive women of enjoying their full rights. In Nigeria, feminism is a complex and evolving movement shaped by Nigeria's unique cultural, legal, religious, and social context. The struggle for women's rights in Nigeria is intertwined with the broader history of colonialism, independence, and contemporary issues of governance, religion, and culture. When I made my video about, I think, about textualism and colorism, right? I mentioned that it's impossible to talk about modern day Nigeria without mentioning colonialism. It's really impossible. Like the effect of colonialism in Nigeria is so like it's so ingrained, it's so like deep into the society. Like you cannot even unravel its finish. Basically, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of context, a lot of culture that has just been lost completely, that has just been lost, that we know nothing about, or have just been manipulated to like fit the colonial narrative, basically. So feminism is also one of those things that it affected. So let's go on to like history of feminism. So we have first wave of feminism, second wave, we have the third wave and the fourth wave. So starting from the first wave, what is the first wave of feminism? This wave, occurring in the late 19th and early 20th century, focused on legal issues and inequalities, such as women's suffrage, which is the right to vote, and property rights. Prominent figures include Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton in the United States, and Emmeline Pankhurst in the United Kingdom. Second wave. Imagine in the 1960s and 1970s, the second wave expanded its focus to issues like workplace inequalities, reproductive rights, and sexual liberation. Key figures include Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, and Simone de Beauvoir. This wave was marketed by the feminist slogan, "The person is political," highlighting how personal experiences are connected to large social structures. So we've spoken about the first and the second wave. The first wave of feminism was focused on like the legal issues, the equalities that women are facing, while the second wave went like more a more deeper dive, right, into like workplace inequalities, like women's reproductive issues, and like a deeper focus into getting women's rights, basically. Then we go to the third wave. So the third wave, starting in the 1990s, the third wave of feminism emphasized diversity and individualism, acknowledging that women's experience and identities are varied. It focused on issues like sexual harassment, body positivity, and reclaiming feminist ideals. Prominent figures include Bell Hooks and Rebecca Walker. Fourth wave of feminism, which is the current wave that we are in right now. So the fourth wave, it's often associated with the digital age, focusing on combating sexual harassment, body shaming, and intersectional inequalities through online activism. It leverages social media platforms to mobilize and raise awareness. Notable movements include the hashtag MeToo movement and hashtag Times Up. So the third wave of feminism and the fourth wave focused more on like on the individual issues that we go through as women, and also the sexual harassment that women go through in the world, which I feel like in every point in history, women have always gone through some form of sexual harassment, But I'm glad that now, like in the current day and age that we live in, right, it's a issue that is taken more seriously. Oh my god, I need to sit more comfortably. So let's move on to history of feminism in Nigeria. So the issue faced by women in Nigeria was similar to women in the West, but there were still major differences, right? So some of the breakdown is basically pre-colonial era, colonial period, and post-colonial era. So pre-colonial era, before colonial rule, many Nigerian society were structured around patriarchal norms, but women held significant power in various spheres. For instance, in the Yoruba society, women were market traders, market leaders, and held titles like Iyalode. In the Igbo society, women participated in political processes through the Umuada Daughters Assembly and the Mikin or Ala Obinwaju Women's Council. Guys, I'm sorry if for any Igbo person watching this video, I'm sorry that I keep butchering these Igbo words, but I'll write them up actually because I know that I'm not pronouncing them properly. So, women also had economic autonomy, especially in trade and agriculture. Then, during the colonial periods, during the colonial era, the imposition of colonial rule disrupted traditional power structure, often marginalizing women. The British colonial administration introduced Western legal and political systems that excluded women and that excluded women from leadership. Women's role were increasingly confined to the private sphere, which laid the groundwork for the emergence of organized feminism movement. So, during the pre-colonial era, right, Nigeria was already a deeply patriarchal society, but at least in that period of time, though I actually am one to believe that we should not bargain with patriarchy. We should not bargain as women. We should not bargain. We should not fight to remain in this, like in the constraints of the current world. We should fight to break through it. To break through it, to actually create a society that can be balanced, or that can strive towards some form of balance, basically. So in the pre-colonial era, it was a deeply patriarchal society, but even with that, women were still able to hold like leadership positions. Women, like in, I'm a Yoruba woman, as I said, in the we had like women as chiefs, serving as chiefs in positions like the Iyalode, the Iyaloja, the Iyaoba, and all of those things. Basically, Iyaoba is the king's mother. She had her own like authority. She had her own power and authority over like what was going on in the kingdom, in society, right? The Iyalode is the chief in charge of the women affairs, like I think something related to that, right? More like the socializing of women in the kingdom, basically. While we have the Iyaloja, she's the chief in charge of like the markets, what goes on in the markets, getting information in the market, making sure the market women like have they can sell properly, they are safe, all of these things. She was in charge of that, basically. And they participated in meetings with the kings, with the king, with the queens, with the they were basically not left aside in organizing in the pre-colonial Nigerian era, right? But during colonialism, the colonial masters removed women from position, because in their society then, women were not holding power. So it was one of the things they found barbaric about Africa, basically. Like, why are you giving women power? Don't you know that women were made from from somebody's rib, which I really don't believe, by the way, but that's by the way. Like, practically, taking their own ideals and shoving it into society and getting rid of women in power, and basically relegating women to private sectors. So then we have the post-colonial era. The fight for Nigerian independence also saw women's involvement, with figures like Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti playing a critical role. She was a leading figure in the Abeokuta Women's Union (AWU), which fought against unfair tradition and colonial policies. After independence in 1960, the feminist movement regained momentum, focusing on political inclusion, education, and economic rights. So I think that's self-explanatory, right? So during the post-colonial era, when Nigeria was fighting for its independence and everything, we also had feminist movements during that period, with key figures like Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti. She fought for like the rights of women. She fought for the right of a lot of things, and I'm going to like include a lot of the things that she did more into like the video. Like, I really did a deep dive approach to feminism. So we have radical feminism, we have liberal feminism, we have Marxist feminism, we have womanism. I did not, okay, yeah, we have womanism. So radical feminism. Radical feminism, the core principles of radical feminism include patriarchy as the root of oppression, focus on gender roles, and advocacy for fundamental change. Patriarchy as the root of oppression. Radical feminism persists that patriarchy is the central system of oppression that affects all aspects of society. It seeks to dismantle the patriarchal structure and challenge the power dynamics that perpetuate gender inequality. I support that, actually. I support that 100%. Focus on gender roles. This branch of feminism emphasizes the need to transform traditional gender roles and norms. Radical feminists believe that the socialization process and cultural expectation enforce gender inequalities. Okay, so technically, as a person, also, I genuinely do not believe in gender roles. In fact, gender roles upsets me deeply. Like, it really upsets me deeply. I don't like it at all. You guys can probably tell if you watch my other videos, you probably hear me say something like that. Anyways, advocacies for fundamental change. Radical feminists often call for deep and systemic changes, including the abolition of institutions and practices that perpetuate gender discrimination, such as the family structure, marriage, and the sex industry. Hmm. Okay, I support that half and half. So I do want like the a deep systemic change, towards like gender discrimination, family structure, marriage. When it comes to like the sex industry, it's really, really complicated. It's really, really complicated. So that part has me not fully like has my leg not fully in that aspect. The key figures include Andrea Dworkin, known for her work on pornography and its impact on women. She was an American radical feminist writer and activist, best known for her analysis of pornography. Her feminist writings, beginning in 1974, span 30 years. They are found in a dozen solo works, 9 books of nonfiction, 2 novels, and a collection of short stories. So we have Catherine McKinnon. She is an American feminist, legal scholar, activist, and author. Her work includes theories on sexual harassment and the intersection of law and feminist theory. So the criticism towards radical feminism are the perceived extremism, and which means like critics argue that radical feminism calls for systemic change can be seen as extreme or impractical. I don't agree actually. I feel like for certain changes to happen in society, we need extremism. I mean, not an extremism that carries like violence. Please, no, like no. I'm not a fighter for displacing people, because violence causes displacements for people basically, and I'm against that 100%. But I also do believe that for certain changes to happen, extremism is really important for certain changes to happen. So, exclusion of intersectionality. Early radical feminism often focused primarily on the experiences of white middle class women, leading to criticism for not adequately addressing the intersectionality of class, races, and other factors, which I agree. I agree with this actually. Then we have liberal feminism. The core principles include equality through reform, individual rights, incremental change. So, equality through reform. Liberal feminism seeks gender equality through legal and political reform within the existing social structure. It focuses on achieving equal rights and opportunities for women in all areas of life, including employment, education, and politics. Good. Individual rights. This branch emphasizes individual rights and freedom, advocating for policies that ensure equal treatment and protection under the law. Incremental change. Liberal feminism work within the current system to bring about gradual changes, such as advocating for equal pay, anti-discrimination laws, and reproductive rights. I feel like liberal feminism is important in today's like current world because the judicial system and the legislative system are practically like legislating against women's rights. You know, more and more legislations are just going against women's rights, especially with reproduction. There's a lot of bans on what women can do with their bodies, which no, 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 a big no. So let's move on. Key figures include Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem. Betty Friedan, author of The Feminine Mystique, which criticized the domestic role of women and helped spark the second wave of feminism. Gloria Steinem, a prominent activist and journalist who has worked extensively on issues of gender equalities and women's rights. So the criticism for liberal feminism include focus on legal reforms. Critics argue that liberal feminism may not address deeper systemic issues and can sometimes overlook the experiences of marginalized women. As assumption of equality. There is a critique that liberal feminism assumes that achieving equality within the existing system is sufficient without challenging underlying power structure. So with radical feminism, the critique is that it's too extreme. Like they want to challenge, the structure. While with liberal feminism, it's like okay, you people are trying to remain within the status quo. You're not trying to change it. What do you people even want? What do you want? What do you want? I feel like there's a space for each form, like each way of feminism, like there's a space for it in the current world. There's a space for radical feminism, there's a space for liberal feminism. And for other forms of feminism, I think one feminism I did not include in this like video specifically is choice feminism, which you guys already know that I actually don't. I'm not a big fan of that, but I suppose women's right and women's wrong. So basically, anyways. Third, Marxist feminism. The core principles are intersection of class and gender, economic inequalities, and revolutionary change. Intersection of class and gender. Marxist feminism combines Marxist theory, which states each society has the oppressor and the oppressed are eventually bound to revolt and build a new society and economy. With feminist analysis to understand how capitalism and patriarchy intersect, it argues that women oppression is rooted in the capitalist economic system and the exploitation of labor. That's a lot of English. You can, if you don't understand what I said, you can maybe slow down the video and try to read the caption one by one. I think I'm actually going to make a, I'm thinking of making a slide form, like a slide form of this particular video, where like all of these things are actually written, where you can actually read them out one by one. That was because, as I said, my first goal on this channel was actually to make a faceless channel, right? So I already have a unedited old video that did not include my face or anything, but years of it got deleted during like editing. But I still kept like a slideshow. So I'm thinking of making a video with the slideshow. If you guys would like to see that video, the one that just has like the script basically like arranged with a bit of pictures like in a slideshow format, let me know. Where you can actually pause, read carefully to understand and stuff. So second core principle of Marxist feminism include economic inequality. Marxist feminism focus on the economic aspect of women's oppression, such as wage disparity, the devaluation of women's domestic labor, and economic dependency. Revolutionary change. They advocate for the overthrow of capitalist system and the establishment of a socialist society that addresses both economic and gender inequality. So the key figures include Silva Friedrich, known for her work on the role of women in the development of capitalism and the importance of reproductive labor. We have Angela Davis, a prominent activist and scholar whose work intersects issues of race, class, and gender within a Marxist framework. Then we have the criticism. The criticism of Marxist feminism include economic determinism. Critics argue that Marxist feminism can be overly focused on economic factors and may neglect other forms of oppression and individual and identity aspects. So we also have revolutionary approach. The revolutionary approach can be seen as unrealistic or to some radical, especially those who advocate for more incremental reforms. So honestly, when it comes to Marxist feminism, I like don't know much about it. And I tried, learning a bit more on it in my research, but I guess like it just did not stick. Then we have womanism. So womanism, the core principles include intersectionality, cultural and spiritual aspects, and community centered. Intersectionality. Womanism is a term coined by Audre Lorde, focuses on the experiences of black women and other women of color. It emphasizes the interconnectedness of race, gender, class, and other forms of identity. Cultural and spiritual aspects. Humanism often incorporates cultural, spiritual, and community aspects, drawing from African American tradition and values. It celebrates and seeks to uplift the unique experiences and strengths of Black women. Community centered. Humanism prioritizes the well being of the entire community and emphasizes solidarity and collective actions. So the key figures include Audre Lorde and Alice Walker. Audre Lorde, an influential writer and activist known for her contribution to humanist theory and her focus on the intersection of race, gender, and sexuality. Alice Walker, an author and activist who coined the term womanist and has written extensively on the experiences of Black women. So, womanism is like it's a feminism movement that is more focused on Black women and other women of color, like other people of color, and it's like focused more on intersectional identities, right? It's inclusive. We have the criticism. The criticism are limited focus and integration with mainstream feminism. So limited focus. Some argue that womanism may focus primarily on the experiences of black women, potentially overlooking the needs and perspective of women from other racial and ethnic backgrounds. Integration with mainstream feminism. There's criticism that humanism sometimes struggles to be fully integrated into mainstream feminist discourse, which can be dominated by white middle class perspective. Honestly, I feel like the solution to all of these, like criticism with the different waves of feminism, is right. Is like there is space, there is a cultural space for each of them to run. Like there is a space for liberal feminism, for Marxist feminism, for humanism, for every form of radical feminism. There is a space for every one of it to run. Like there is space for each of the people pioneering each of those waves. There is like space for them to actually do their work. There is space for them to fight to try to get the right of every woman. Like there is a space, there's just, I feel like with each of them, like we should focus on the strength of each of them. We should focus on what each of the waves can actually do without like just finding the criticism into them. Yes, there's criticism because it's not a perfect movement, but like we can do better. We can keep working on it. We can keep improving. We can find a way to integrate like each ideology into one great form of feminism. Like or even just each of the feminism should have their own one, because I deeply believe that each of them are actually doing something. Each of them are fighting for women in every aspect, and each of them are leading to one or another progress. Like there is a positive effect of each of the feminism in the world. Not saying that there is no negative effect of some of it, because let's be honest, like with everything that has its positive, there's also negatives, right? Like some of these feminist women that we discussed today, they only focus on cisgendered women. They don't include trans women. They don't include like the other intersectionality. They are mostly focused on white middle class women feminism, but the issues that women face around the world are still very similar. There is difference based on each region, right? Within each region there is always a different thing that a woman is going through, right? There's different struggles that each women are facing based on like culture or religion in that particular area. But generally speaking, we still have a lot of general things in common that women face, which is like the discrimination is general. The discrimination that women face for being women it's a general thing. It's all around the world. The effect of patriarchy on us, it's a general thing all around the world, regardless of the religion or the culture you are born in as a woman. Patriarchy affects you. It affects all of us basically. The harassment that we face as women, like the sexual harassment basically, it's something every woman face everywhere in the world. There is no country or there's no country that has women that women in those places don't face some form of sexual harassment. um the unequal gender pay, it's a thing all around the world. Yes, to varying degrees. In some areas women do get paid, like women are working to get paid better and it's working, while in some areas women are not. The payments they need, they're not getting it. But still, the unequal payments that we all face as women, it's general. It's just to varying degrees depending on what country you're in and how the law of that country has progressed to help women. Also, there's just a lot that is still a general thing that every woman is facing. So even though different aspects of feminism should focus and fight towards different specific goals, like there's still a lot of joint goals that we can all fight for together, basically. So, benefits of feminism in Nigeria. We have gender inequality, which is in legal rights and political representation. Feminism advocates for equal legal rights for women, leading to reforms that can improve women's access to education, employment, and empowerment and property ownership. This includes challenging discriminatory laws and practices. I will talk more about the legal restriction in like other part of this video, and I'll add like timestamps as I said before for you guys to skip to. So, political representation. Did you know women make up about 6.2% of the members of the National Assembly, which includes the Senate and the House of Representatives, and only 4.43% of the seats in state assembly across Nigeria? And did you also know that the highest political office held by a woman in Nigeria is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Patricia Ete, becoming the first and only female Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives in 2007? By promoting legal by promoting gender equality, feminism help increases women's representation in politics and decision-making positions. This can lead to more inclusive policies that address the needs of all citizens. So, I feel like talking about this political representation part, people don't actually get how dangerous it is that the House of Rep, the House of Senate that makes the law, that legislates the law, and the judiciary in Nigeria has very, very, very small number of women. People don't know how detrimental that is. The House of Senate makes the law of the country. They are the ones that have the authority to change the to 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 give bills. Basically, they have the authority to raise bills like, oh, should this be included in like the constitution, should this be removed from the constitution? They are the ones that can do that. They are the ones that work hand in hand with the judiciary, basically, to make the laws that we follow as Nigerians. If in that place where the laws are being made for us Nigerians, there's only what, three, four women out of 100 and something men, what kind of laws do you think are going to be made on the behalf of women? When the feminine voice in those spaces are very small, when the number of women that can actually talk and speak out on our behalf, when they are so little, what kind of laws do you think are going to be made on behalf of us women? Or do you even think when they are making laws, they are going to remember us, or they are going to remember to include us positively in those laws when we don't even have a voice in the political space there? I feel like there is a lot to that. I think I mentioned about this more into my script. If I didn't mention this more into my script, and I remember as I'm going on, I will come back to talk about this because I'm really passionate about this particular part, the lack of political representation of a female in the Nigerian like Senate, House of Rep, and everything. Particularly, we all know that on Women's Day this year's Women's Day, there was a problem that happened in the House of Senate, right, with Senator Natasha Akpabio, where she accused the leader of the House of Senate for sexually harassing her, and she got suspended, which, by the way, is illegal. You cannot suspend a senator from Senate because Senate position is something that was voted by citizens. You cannot suspend someone that citizens voted to represent them on their behalf. Basically, it's illegal to do that. The lawmakers are violating the law. She got suspended. Not only did she get suspended, the person that presided over the whole hearing was the actual was the person that was being accused. The accuser, the accused, presided over the judgment of his accused victim. In what world does that happen? Where the perpetrator is the one that is the accused perpetrator is the one that is punishing the victim for speaking out. Like, in what legal world does that happen? But you know what? That happens in Nigeria Senate. With no consequence, by the way. No consequence to the man, but obviously large consequence for the women. Why? Because with everything that was happening, she got slut shamed a lot. Mind you, this woman is someone that, in the general scheme of things, I think people would consider very modest. Like, not like modesty is modesty or lack of modesty is valid reason for you to to harass someone or anything. But practically speaking, there's just a lot that went into it. She was harassed, she was insulted, she was suspended without pay. I think she even got removed from office at the end of the day. It was a lot. And all of this was happening on Women's Day. The society needs growth, honestly. There needs a lot of improvement. So let's move on to the social empowerment. Education. The literacy rate for women in Nigeria is approximately 59.4% compared to 74.4% for men. You guys can see that that's a very large gap. Northwest and Northeast regions have the lowest percentage of educated women in the country. In some states, female literacy rates are as low as 20 to 30%, while the Southwest region has the highest percentage of educated women in Nigeria, with female literacy rates exceeding 70 to 80%. Feminism emphasizes the importance of education for women and girls, leading to increased enrollment and retention rates in schools. Educated women are better equipped to contribute to society and make informed decisions. Economic independency. Economic independence. Economic independence. Feminist initiatives support women's economic empowerment through access to job opportunities, fair wages, and entrepreneurship. This reduces economic dependency on others and enhances women's financial stability. Around 55 to 60% of Nigerian women are estimated to live in poverty, higher than the rate for women. Higher than the rate for men. Around 56 to 60% of Nigerian women are estimated to live in poverty, higher than the rate for men. The percentage of women living in poverty in some northern states can be as high as 70% or more, while in the southern states, around 40 to 50% of women are living in poverty. So, social empowerment, right? To talk about education, while now education is something that is really being pushed for in the country, we still have areas where women where female education is being fought against actively, especially in the northern part of the country. In the northern part of the country, we have, you guys remember the issue that happened in 2009 where this terrorist group abducted hundreds of girls, and even till today, some of the girls have not been recovered. Abducted from school, all because they did not want women to go to school, and all because they believe that women's place should be in the kitchen, basically. That's happened in 2009, and that was not the last time something like that happened in the country. There's been reporting of females being attacked in school, of women being attacked in schools or in other places, just because some people hold the idea that women should not be getting an education. And apart from even the terrorist attack or the attack on women in in educational space, we also have like the society also. Like there's been stories of fathers that would refuse to send their female children to school just because, oh, aren't you going to end up in your husband's house at the end of the day? Or even when they send the women to school, they try to prevent them from getting a higher education because it's like, yes, you know the basic things. Why do you need more education? Or outside Nigeria now, we have places like some Middle Eastern countries that are stopping the education access of girls past the sixth grade, past elementary school. Basically, they cannot get any education above elementary school. And in those countries too, they have laws that prevent women from getting medical care from men. So if women cannot study past elementary school and also they cannot see a male doctor, who is going to treat them when they encounter a health challenge? Are you seeing how this is problematic? Apart from that, even women voices are being shut in countries all over the world, you know. And in with this like growing climate, you see how some people say, what's the benefit of feminism? Feminism has done its job, we don't need it anymore. That's a big lie. That's a very, very big lie. So economic independence, right? The some of the issues we go through as women, as Nigerian women, is because of the dependency on men financially, right? Because of the fact that a lot of women have to depend on men financially, because the opportunities that are available for women in Nigeria in comparison to the opportunities available for men is really, 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 there's a large difference. I know people will be like, oh, like that's a lie. In the modern day world, you can do online jobs, whatever, whatever. But let's be realistic here. Not everybody is completely educated, and we all know the unemployment issues of Nigeria, right? So even if you do get a thorough education, there is no guarantee that you are going to get a job based on your certificates, right? In that aspect, right? In the commercial world, or what's it called? In the corporate world, there might be space for women to get employed, but outside the corporate world, apart from artistic fields, even in artistic fields, look at the Nigerian music industry of today. Look at the Nigerian film industry of today. How many women are successful, or how many women are in the industry, in the women in the music industry, compared in comparison to the men in the industry? Look at it. When we go to the film industry, women are making waves a lot in Nigerian film industry, which is really good. But how many of them own their production? How many of them can control the narrative to what they are making? How many of them own productions? How many of them write scripts? How many of them control the story and the narrative that is being told in comparison to the men? Though let's actually give grace where there is grace. In the movie industry in Nigeria, like there's a growing increasing number of women that are actually making waves in that industry, and I think that's something to be commended for. Like that's something to recognize, acknowledge, and commend. Me saying like the the fact that a there is a difference between what men can do and achieve financially and what women can do and achieve financially. It's not just hearsay. It's proven facts. Like it's what's going on in the country at the moment, specifically in Nigeria, as I said. But there's also like a growing improvement to that, right? Women are also trying. Women are getting more opportunities to try for things. The inclusion of remote jobs have really been 100% helpful also, and also women are also diversifying in careers. Like people are trying to, do other things apart from the rigid, oh, be a teacher, be an engineer, be a medical doctor, be a accountant, be a banker or a lawyer. Like people are trying other stuff apart from that, right? So I feel like that is also helping like the improvement of financial rates in women, and also the fact that education is also now more of a priority for a lot of women. It's also really, really helping women get better financially. But in areas where education is still being restricted for women, like it also directly affects the poverty rate in those part of the states, right? In those part of the country, sorry. So challenging sorry, three, we are still talking about the benefit of feminism in Nigeria, right? So we have combating violence and discrimination, awareness and advocacy. Feminism raises awareness about issues such as domestic violence, sexual harassment, and human trafficking. Advocacy efforts lead to stronger protection, legal reforms, and support system for survivors. The National Demographic and Health Survey (NDHS) 2018 reported that 30% to 40% of women aged 15 to 49 have experienced physical or sexual violence. Sexual harassment in Nigeria is not often reported due to different factors, where which I'll speak on like further in the video. So in reality, the percentage is definitely way higher, right? So the NDHS has reported that 30% to 40% of women aged 15 to 49 have experienced some form of social harassment. But we all also know, if you know it's about Nigerian society, you know that when it comes to things like sexual harassment, um, because of societal and religious and cultural shame, people genuinely don't report it. to like the public, because even if you go to report to the police station, the chances that you're going to be harassed by the policemen themselves, like it's actually, it's a possibility that even the people you are going to for protection will actually be harass you, not sexually but like shame you basically, like, oh, what happened, what were you doing that led to that happening, something like that, or not even take your case seriously in the first place. So because of that, like the number of women that actually report these cases is very, very, very few. So even with the few number of people that report, there's still a documented 30 to 40% of people. Like that's a lot. That's a high number. Support services. Feminist organizations often provide crucial support services, including counseling, legal assistance, and shelter for victims of violence and abuse. Examples of such support groups include, we have Women's Right Advancement and Protection Alternative, proper, Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, PPFN, Maria Stopes Nigeria. We have Women's Health and Action Research Center, VRASH, and many more. So, many more that I will actually include. In the description, I'm going to include all these support systems. So, if you know anyone that needs any of the support systems, or if you yourself need any of the service, you can access like them. I'm going to try to drop like their names, maybe a link to their website if I can find in the description box for you guys to check through. So, we have what on the benefits of feminism in Nigeria, challenging cultural norms, redefining gender roles. Feminism challenges traditional gender roles and stereotypes, promoting a more equitable distribution of domestic and caregiving responsibility. This can lead to a more balanced family dynamics and shared responsibility. Promoting inclusivity. By addressing issues related to race, class, and sexuality, feminism fosters a more inclusive and accepting society. It challenges discriminatory practices and promotes diversity and respect for all individuals. So I think that's like self-explanatory, right? So moving on, five, improving health and well-being. So we have reproductive rights. Feminism advocates for reproductive health rights, including access to family planning, safe childbirth, and healthcare services. This improves women's overall health and well-being. Nigeria is ranked as having the third to fourth highest maternal mortality rate in the world, about 1,047 deaths per 100,000 live births. I actually included these statistics in my video about, like, I think choice or about being child free. I can't remember which of the two. I'm going to put them like up in the description, or I'm going to put them up here. Like I'll pin it up for you guys so you can watch this video if you haven't. And I'm also going to try to include in the description. I hope I remember when I'm writing the description. So, um, okay, sorry if you guys see me laughing or smiling, like I'm not laughing or these topics are not funny. The maternal mortality rate in Nigeria is not something fun. My smile is not from that. It's not funny, basically. It's a serious topic. Abortion is also heavily restricted in Nigeria. The penal code allows abortion only to save a woman's life, while the criminal code permits abortion to preserve the woman's health. However, these provisions are rarely applied, and access to safe abortion services is severely limited. Unsafe abortions are estimated to account for about 10% of maternal deaths in Nigeria. Mental health awareness. Feminist initiatives often addresses mental health issues related to gender discrimination and societal pressure, promoting better mental health support and resources. Healthy mental health is a topic that is often ignored or overlooked in Nigerian society. There is a lot of ignorance and stigma associated with the topic. According to the WHO, the World Health Organization, Nigeria has about zero point 0.3 psychiatrists per 100,000 people, which is like a very, very small percentage of psychiatrists to serve the whole country of people. And I think that's because like mental health is something that is not prioritized in Nigeria. Like people, because of the nature of the country, because of the survival nature of the country, right? People are more focused on their survival. They are more focused on hustling to care about their mental health, which is sad but the truth basically. People forget that you need a like it's not only your health is not only your physical health, your mental health is also included. Your mental health is a very, very important part of your health. If your mental health is not stable, if it's not sane, if it's not okay, you cannot be considered healthy. And I know that many people in Nigeria generally only care about making the bag. They don't care about health, like oh, health. The bag, that's the goal, you know. And yes, the bag is the goal, but also your health is also really important. Also, because of religion, people don't necessarily seek help for mental health also because some mental health issues are not recognized as mental health issues because of religion. I don't I won't deep dive into that. I won't deep dive into that. You can research on that yourself. On how the mental health issues that some people are going through, the psychosis that some people are going through are seen as okay or not even seen as psychosis in the first place because of religion. Anyways, that's the topic for another video. Okay. So also the way abortion is treated in the country is really, really sad because people only think of morality when they think of abortion. They forget that abortion is I'm pro-choice. I'm very, very pro-choice. I'm a pro-choice person. So if you did not, I don't know how you even watched any of my videos and will not get that I'm a pro-choice person. Like, bro, I'm pro-choice, 100% pro-choice, because abortion is, while it's seen as a moral like thing by a lot of people, that's not what it is. That's not all it is. For a lot of women that actually have to make the choice of abortion or not, like that's even if they get to make a choice on it. It's not about morality. It's about their health, their life. Some people lose their lives. Like we have cases like ectopic pregnancies, cases of the child dying in the womb, where they actually have to get the child out. And yes, anything that involves them having to remove a unborn baby from someone's womb medically is classified as abortion. So a dead child, removing a dead child is classified as abortion. In case you guys don't know, so when you people are saying you are banning abortion, you're also banning people getting self health care. When you are stereotyping or ridiculing people for doing it, you are also creating an environment where people we are making things unsafe for people generally. There's a lot on this topic, honestly. I don't even know if I should make a whole video about it, honestly, but for now, let's there's a lot to go into, you know. There's a lot to go into. I'm not even sure I'll be able to capture everything today because you know how my phone space be doing, guys. So we have legal reforms and policy changes, which is the sixth point. Anti-discriminatory law. Feminist activism has led to the development and implementation of laws that protect against gender-based discrimination in various sectors, including employment and education. In Nigeria, court rulings favor women in domestic violence or sexual assault cases only about 15 to 10% of the time. Are you seeing that statistics? Are you seeing that statistics? Exactly. In my research for this video, the statistics I've been gathering are just like when I see a statistics, it's always something sad, man. It's sad. It is sad. Like Nigeria judiciary system, Nigeria legal system, we can do better. We really can do better, you know. But in that society, in that patriarchal society, okay. Policy advocacy. Feminist group advocates for policies that promote gender equality and addresses systemic issues. This includes lobbying for legislative changes and ensuring that women's voices are heard in political discussions. So, which is what I said like earlier when I was talking about like the House of Senate, whatever. If women are not included in spaces where the laws are being made, you cannot expect them to make favorable law for you as a woman when you don't have any representation there. It's not possible. It doesn't work that way. Enhancing family dynamics is the seventh point. So we have shared parenting. Feminism promotes shared parenting responsibilities, is leading to more equitable family dynamics and improved work-life balance for both men and women. In most Nigerian homes where the fathers are the breadwinner, most men only focus on earning money and don't pay enough attention to their children or even their wives. The mothers are usually left to do most of the child rearing with little to no credit. In my tribe, there is a saying, "Ọmọ tó bá dáa tí bàbá rẹ̀ ni." Ọmọ tó what is it? Ọmọ tó kù tí ìyá rẹ̀ ni. Which basically translates to a good child is the father's while the lacking child is the mother's. Are you giving them the side eye? Yeah, I'm giving them that too. Which, okay, I've translated that. Of course, that's not the case for all family, as each family has different family dynamics, right? So, all I'm going to say to this is, in Nigeria, like there is a lot of weaponized incompetency on the side of men in the country, where if you don't know what that means, please use your Google. Like, guys, you know how I am when it comes to defining certain terms. Search Google, please. Don't stress me. Anyways, there's a lot of weaponized incompetence when it comes to men. And there's a lot of families where the men that are actually earning, because some of the men are just deadbeat fathers, they don't actually contribute to the family. But even the ones that do contribute to the family, like they mostly only contribute financially. After finances, every other form, the emotional aspect of the child's raising, the physical aspect of the child raising, the mental support that the child needs, the influence that the child needs from them, they neglect the child, leaving the child to only the mother. Like, oh, it's the mother's job to do the raising, it's not my job. Who said that? Who made that rule? Since when was that true? Why why is a child that was made by two people left to only one person to raise? I mean, unless there's a case where maybe the father is having a health issue, or is, you know, he has kicked the bucket, there is no reasonable reason why a father a father in the family is not contributing to his child's life apart from financially. And I'm not saying the little 2 minutes that you spend doing, oh, do you want to go to ShopRite and eat chicken? That's not even what I'm talking about. Yeah, that is nice, but that's not it. There's a lot that goes into a child development, a child's like growth, that a lot of fathers do not even know or contribute to. And then you end up wondering why at the end of the day the child does not rate you as the father. Why would the child rate you when you did not contribute to their life? You think it's by magic? Don't even vex me, I beg. Child development. By advocating for gender equality and respect, feminism contributes to healthier family environments and positive role models for children. I have many negative concerns on child raising in Nigerian society, and I already created a video to talk about that. In this script, I wrote I might create a video, but I already created a video to talk about that. Though I actually will create another video in the future to talk about it, because I did not say enough. There's a lot that I did not brush on. I only talked about the grooming aspect. I'll put like a card for that part for that video, but there is a lot more to it. I did not actually go into details on how the like abuse is seen as okay, or is not even seen as abuse in the first place. I did not go into details on that, which I should and which I will do. I will go on details on that in another video. You guys let me know if you're interested in something like that for me. So moving on, we have empowering marginalized groups. Intersectional approach. Feminism's intersectional approach addresses the need of women from diverse backgrounds, including those facing multiple forms of discrimination based on tribe, class, disability, and sexuality. Nigerian society is ableist and discriminates largely against disabilities, especially physical disabilities. It's also very tribalist, and people often favor their tribesmen over others. Let's not even start with sexuality and the discrimination that people face. Like, let's not even start with that. That's a can of worms. A can of worms. So the concept of sexuality and sexual freedom isn't taught or even embraced in Nigeria, mostly because of religion and culture. It's often assumed by most people that there is no queer people in Nigeria, which is false. Like, it is false, 100%. That's a lie. And please, if you are homophobic, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Like, that's the question I'm going to ask genuinely. What are you actually doing in my channel if you're homophobic? What does this look like a space that welcomes you? Yeah, it's not welcome. Bigotry is not welcome on this channel, please. And in case you've not been chased off and you're still here, check your biases. When you're biased against certain group of people, it's mostly stems from ignorance, right? Make research. Actually check. This group of people I'm hating on, this thing I dislike so much. What are the facts about it? Not what you think is fact. What are the actual facts about it, Make your research. Research, check. If you guys would like to hear me talk about like queerness in Nigeria or what people face in Nigeria or anything related to queerness in Nigeria, drop it in the comment section and I will actually make a video on it. I don't have any video planned on that for now, but for you guys, I'll do anything. I love you guys so much. Anyways, let's go on. So, we also have community support. Feminist organizations often work to support marginalized communities, advocating for their rights and providing resources to address their specific challenges. We have organizations like the BC Alimi Foundation for Queers. BC Alimi is amazing. It's amazing. We have Queer Women of Color, QWOC Nigeria. We have Disability Rights Advocacy Center, DRAC, and we have the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, CCD. So there's a lot of organizations I mentioned in this video. I'm going to make a list in the description to like include all of them. So any of the things you need research pertaining to any of those people, you could reach out to them. So we have problems faced by feminism in Nigeria. One, resistance and backlash. One, we have cultural resistance. Feminism may face resistance from traditional and cultural norms that view gender roles as fixed. In some communities, feminist ideas might be seen as a threat to established customs and values, leading to social pushback. Nigerian society pays a lot of attention to culture, and most cultures encourage men being above women or gives more rights and chances to men over women. And don't even tell me that I'm reaching or is lying. Like, it's facts. It is just facts in Nigeria, basically. Don't start an argument that you know is true. And I'm not saying you guys cannot. Please express yourself in the comment section. Rants, anything I'm saying that you disagree with or you agree with, let me know in the comment section, please. As I said, like, I don't want us to be an echo chamber that we all only think the same way and there's no chance for growth or improvement or anything. But let's be respectful. Let's be respectful to each other. Let's keep the insults to a minimum or almost zero. The way I don't go about insulting you guys, I might be very harsh sometimes, but I don't insult you guys. So let's not start insulting me also. Don't give what you cannot take. I have a sharp mouth, as people can tell. If you start something you cannot finish, I'll descend on you. Anyway, let's go on. Um, we have backlash against activists. Feminists and women's rights activists can experience backlash, including social ostracism, harassment, or even violence from those opposed to gender equality initiatives. We have cases like the NSAS demonstration where female activists face sexual assault and physical violence. And with one of the major faces of the movement, Aisha is receiving like heavy social online bullying. Like the bullying was bad on Twitter, online, everywhere. Why? Okay, oh, and many more cases. So we have misinterpretation and misrepresentation, misunderstanding of goals. Feminism is sometimes misinterpreted as being anti-men or as a movement that seeks to elevate women at the expense of men. This misunderstanding can lead to polarized views and hinder collaborative efforts for gender equality. Feminism is about equality of opportunity and choices. It advocates for women to have the same rights, opportunity, and respect as men in all aspects of life, including education, employment, and personal autonomy. It's not about women wanting to do the exact same jobs as men, such as hard labor, unless they choose to. Instead, feminism supports the idea that women should have the freedom to pursue any career or choice that they are passionate about, without being limited by social expectations or gender stereotypes. The core of feminism is ensuring that women are not restricted to traditional roles and that they have the same opportunity as men to pursue their interests and talents, whether in physical demanding jobs or in any other fields. Then we have media representation. Feminist movements can be misrepresented in the media, leading to skewed perceptions of their goals and impacts. This can contribute to misinformation and reluctance to support feminist initiatives. Media personalities also have biased opinions on topics, and we can see examples in the media, in today's media. So, to explain this right, feminism has a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of misinterpretation of it in the media, right? Some people just see feminists as this men eating group of people. Truly, there are some feminists that are men eating, but that does not speak for the whole of the collective of people. Besides, will I say, the group of women that tend to hate men more are actually misandrists, not feminists. Though I don't have a problem with the men eating group of feminists because if you guys can guess which class I belong to, I didn't say anything, but anyways, honestly, like dissenter men. That's all I'm going to say. Everything that I want to say, I'm gonna the dissenter men. So these old arguments where people think that they're fighting for equal rights. You people are fighting for equal rights. Do you want to be doing hard labor like men? Do you want to be lifting bricks? Do you want to be doing this? No. When we talk about equal rights and equal opportunity, we're talking about the right to make equal choices. Like the right to actually for a woman to say, "Oh, this is what I want to do," and you will not look at her and be like, why is a woman doing that? Okay, like someone like me now, I'm an engineering student, right? I've and if you know anything about the engineering field, it's very male dominated. I've I've been in countless situations where people ask like, "Oh, what do you do? What are you studying or whatever?" And when I say engineering, they're like, "You're a woman." I've even asked someone ask me, "Do you know mathematics?" Huh? like, huh? like, mind you, this person was supposedly educated, a biomedical engineer. What? Like, is there a cerebral division? Like, is mathematics something that only a certain gender can know and a certain gender cannot know it? Like, when we're talking about equal opportunity, talking about equal cerebral opportunities, the rights to make decisions as a woman without being questioned as a woman, without anyone being like, why are you doing that? Women don't do that. That's what we're talking about when we talk about equal rights. So the sun is going down, guys. Oh my god. The sun is going down. I don't the video is going to start getting darker, which I don't want. Let's hurry up. Okay, so we have intersectional challenges. We are still talking about the problems faced by feminism in Nigeria. So intersectional challenges, classes and economic barriers. While feminism advocates for gender equality, not all women benefit equally from feminist initiatives. Women from lower socio-economic backgrounds may face additional barriers that are not fully addressed by mainstream feminism. Classism is a major problem in Nigeria society, which means that the benefit of feminism for women in higher social class may not necessarily like work for the women in the in the lower social classes, which is really a big problem because Nigeria is a very classy society. Like Nigeria is a very elitist society where the difference in classes in social classes is actually like enforced in the society, like it's deeply enforced. You will be surprised. If you've never been to Nigeria, you will be surprised. You will be surprised. If you check on just watch people give their experiences on TikTok and you're going to be shocked. Like you're going to be shocked by the classism. It's crazy out there, man. We have limited focus. Some feminist movements may focus predominantly on issues faced by middle class or urban women, potentially neglecting the unique challenges faced by rural women or those in the marginalized communities. which is really a big deal issue also. And I feel like another thing that causes that limited focus is also lack of education, because women in some areas do not even have the education to even know that they have a right, or they have the choice to dream of a life that is more than the life that is being told to them, basically. And with that absence of knowledge, the right that feminists are fighting for also is absent for them. Like, they don't know that, they don't even know what feminism is, or what it does, or how it can impact them, or what it has fought for them. They don't know. So we have we have legal and institutional challenges. We have ineffective implementation. Even when feminist reforms are enacted, their implementation might be ineffective due to lack of enforcement, insufficient resources, or bureaucratic obstacles. The justice system in Nigeria is very lacking in enforcing the law. Example of this is the Child Rights Act 2003. This act provides comprehensive protection for children, including girls, addressing issues such as child abuse, exploitation, and education. But to date in Nigeria, child marriage is still being practiced with no consequences to the offenders. Then we have legal obstacles. Existing legal frameworks and institutional practice might resist changes proposed by feminist movements, slowing progress and limiting the impact of legal reforms. Then we have social and economic disruption. Disruption of traditional roles. Feminism challenge to traditional gender roles can create friction in society where these roles are deeply ingrained. This can lead to conflict within families and communities as social structures are re-evaluated. Nigeria is very big on traditional gender roles, as I said like earlier in the video, right? And it's very prevalent in society. I remember being taught during like my primary school days, like the roles of a father, the role of a mother, the roles of a child, and what like each person does, and the distinct roles, how to enforce it, and everything like that. Right from when I was in primary school, like when I was like 5 years old, crazy stuff, man. Then we have economic implications. Shift towards gender equality may disrupt existing economic systems and job markets, leading to resistance from those who benefit from the status quo. As I said earlier on before I was cut off, like that's why Nigerian men, are so against feminism, because it's like they think we are taking away opportunities from them, which is not true. Like, when there's a job, the job is given to who can do it better, or the job should be given to who can do it better, male or female, should not matter, as long as the person can actually deliver on the job. So, so let's move on to perception of elitism. Perceived elitism. Some critics argue that feminist movements can sometimes appear elitist or disconnected from the everyday experience of average women. This perception can alienate potential supporters and create division within the movement. We spoke about this earlier, right? When we we're discussing the wave of feminism. Then we have focus on specific issues. Emphasis on certain feminist issues may overlook or undervalue other present concerns faced among different groups, leading to accusations of selective advocacy. Then we have a potential for divisiveness as like the seventh point, which includes like internal conflict. Feminist movements may experience internal conflict over differing ideologies and approaches, which can weaken collective efforts and cause fragmentation within the movement. The different approaches to feminism and the fact that each feminist wave focuses on different major topics could be seen as differing instead of progressive. Polarization. Efforts to promote gender equalities can sometimes lead to increased polarization between different gender groups, potentially exacerbating the problem rather than bridging divides. Then we have resistance to change, the slow cultural change. Cultural and societal attitudes towards gender roles can be slow to change, making it challenging for feminist efforts to achieve immediate or widespread impact. Institutional inertia. Institution resistance to change may hinder feminist efforts, leading to slow progress and frustration for activists seeking to implement reforms. Then we have, how does it affect women in Nigeria? Basically, we already spoke on the benefits of feminism, we already spoke on the problem feminism might face in Nigeria. But like, how does it affect women in Nigeria? it's basically going to be a repetition of the points we already spoke on. So I'm just going to give like a quick summary, or like just rush through each point. We have the legal and policy reforms, rights and protection. Feminism has led to the advocacy for and implementation of laws that protect women from gender-based violence, discrimination, and inequalities. For example, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition (VAPP) Act of 2015 addresses violence against women and covers various forms of abuse such as domestic violence, social violence, and harmful traditional practices. This was a law that was not in place, until people actually fought for it. Reproductive rights. Female activism has influenced policies related to reproductive rights, including access to family planning and maternal health services. This contributes to women's autonomy over their body and their health. Then we have education and economic opportunities, access to education. Feminism promotes equal access to education for girls and women. Efforts by feminist groups have led to increased enrollment and retention rates for girls in schools and universities. Then we have economic empowerment. Feminist initiatives support women's economic participation through access to job opportunities, fair wages, and entrepreneurship. This helps women achieve financial independence and reduces economic dependency, right? Then we have social attitudes and cultural change. We have challenging gender norms. Feminism challenges traditional gender roles and stereotypes, promoting a more equitable view of gender roles within the family and society. This can lead to shared responsibilities in household chores and caregiving. Then we have awareness of gender issues. Feminist activism raises awareness about issues such as sexual harassment, domestic violence, and discrimination. This include this increased awareness can lead to greater societal support for women's rights and changes in cultural attitudes. Then we have personal empowerment as the fourth point. Confidence and agency. Feminism empowers women to assert their rights and voice their opinions. This increased self confidence enables women to pursue careers, education, and personal goals without societal constraints. Support networks. Feminist organizations often provide support services, including counseling, legal assistance, and advocacy. These resources help women navigate challenges and access necessary support. Some support groups have been mentioned earlier in the video and will be listed in the description box, as I said. So, I'm also open to invoices. Like, if you guys want to complain or share some stories, or if you need help, you need recommendation for me to refer you to a organization or something, please, you can send a message. Though, how can you send a message? I guess through like mail. No, not mail. Please, not mail. Instagram DMs. So I'm going to drop. I've been trying to avoid dropping my Instagram for you people, but I'm going to drop my Instagram like in this video. So I'll link my Instagram. Then, if you have anything to say to me, questions, you can DM me on Instagram to ask, or I'll definitely respond. Like, I might take a while to respond, but I'll definitely respond. So we have, okay, political representation, increased representation. Feminism advocates for greater female representation in political and decision-making positions. This increased representation can lead to more inclusive policies and address the needs of women more efficiently and more effectively. Policy influence. Women who are politically active and involved in feminist movements can influence policies and legislation that affect women's life, leading to more gender sensitive governance. Honestly, this also international issue that happened just showed, what happens in a society or in a place where men are more in power, right? And women don't have voice. And even among the, like, four women, even among the four women that were there, like, some of the women were so male centered that they did not even see the need to want to support or fight for the right of their fellow woman, just because they want to stay, like, they want that proximity to power. They want to remain in the favor of their oppressor. So instead of speaking out for their own benefits, because what happens to internet can happen to anybody. It can happen to any woman. You don't have to, whether in political office, either out of political office. It could be you. It could be your child. It could be anyone close. It does. I feel like when it does not have to happen to someone close to you, or even you in person, for you to actually be able to build empathy for someone when something like this happens. Chai. Then moving on, we have health and well-being. Mental health awareness. Feminist movement addresses mental health issues related to gender discrimination and societal pressures. This contributes to better mental health support and resources for women. Then we have physical health. By advocating for reproductive health rights and access to healthcare system, feminism improves women's overall health and well-being. Then we have addressing intersectional issues. So we have like diverse needs. Feminism intersectional approach considers the diverse experience of women based on race, class, and sexuality. This helps increase the unique challenges faced by women from various, this help address like the various challenges faced by women from different backgrounds. Then we have empowering marginalized groups. Feminism movements work to support marginalized groups, including rural women and those from lower socioeconomic background, advocating for their rights and addressing their specific needs. To the big ones, this part is gonna cause backlash. Okay, let's go. Okay, TJ, you can do it. Yeah, I'm going to build my strength for the backlash that is coming. Abrahamic religion effects on feminism in Nigeria. How can there be a video deep diving into feminism in Nigeria and you're not going to talk about the effect of Abrahamic religions? Like, and by Abrahamic religion, I mean Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. But to be more specific to Nigeria, Christianity and Islam. So we have the cultural and religious norms. Traditional gender roles. Religion and tradition in Nigeria can sometimes be so interwoven, it's difficult to separate them. Abrahamic religions often reinforce traditional gender roles, which can conflict with feminist ideals of gender equality. In many Nigerian communities, religious teachings emphasize distinct roles for men and women, which can limit women opportunity and freedom. Family and marriage norms. Religious doctrines in the Abrahamic faith can influence social expectations around marriage, family, and gender roles. For example, teachings about women's primary role as caregivers can affect perception of women's rights and equality. We have Bible verses like 1 Timothy 2:11 to 12, the NIV version, which states, "A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet." Then we have First Corinthians 14:34 to 35, same NIV version, that states women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission. As the law states, it's if they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home. Do you people know about this? Oh, where am I? For it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in the church. Are you hearing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? Okay. And Ephesians 5:22 to 24 NIV that says, "Wives, submit yourself to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything." I intentionally avoided like Old Testament verses to avoid, it's the old laws, we don't promote. Everything I said is for New Testament. Argue with the keyboard. Don't argue with me. I beg. Argue with Paul that wrote it, not me. Ehem. So, and in the Quran we have verses like Surah and Nisa 4:34, which says, "Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has made some of them to excel others, and because they spend to support them from their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. As for those from whom you fear arrogance, admonish them. Then, if they persist, forsake them in bed, and finally strike them." Do what? Strike them. "But if they obey you, seek not against them any means of further punishment." Okay. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted and great. A verse that promotes violence against women and encourages men to physically assault their wives. Alright. Influence of legislation and policy, legal reforms. Religious beliefs can impact the creation and implementation of laws affecting women. For instance, some legal reform related to women's rights may face resistance from religious groups that oppose changes to traditional gender norms. Family law. In Nigeria, personal status laws such as marriage and inheritance laws can be influenced by religious principles. For example, Islamic law, Sharia in the northern states, may have different provisions for women compared to secular laws affecting issues like marriage, divorce, and inheritance. Sharia law states women are only to get half inheritance as men. A Quranic verse, Surah An-Nisa 4:11 states, Allah commands you concerning your children for the male what is equal to the share of two females. If they are only daughters, two or more, their share is two-thirds of the inheritance. And if there is only one, a share is half. For parents, a sixth share of the inheritance to each if they have left children. But if they have left no children and the parents are the only heirs, then for the mother is one third. If they have left brothers and sisters, for the mother is one sixth. After any bequest they may have made or debt, your father and your sons, you know not which is nearer to you in benefit. This is an ordinance from Allah. Indeed, Allah is knowing and wise. That's what the verse says. So then we have social and community dynamics. Religious institution. Religious institutions play a significant role in shaping social attitudes and can both support and hinder feminist efforts. Some religious leaders and institutions may advocate for gender equalities and women empowerment, while others may resist feminist agendas that challenge traditional teaching. Most religious institutions in Nigeria, especially churches, promote and encourage total submission from women to men. I once had a youth pastor tell me any Christian woman who is a feminist is very stupid and idiotic. In his words, and I quote, actually, that's what he said. Because in his words, even the women in Islam don't practice feminism because they know it is against their religion. So why should Christian women? As in, even the women in another religion know that they don't have rights, and because of that, they don't fight for their rights. So why should you fight for your rights? Mind you, he has sisters. I mean, he has a sister, at least. Oh, girl. Anyways, as I said, I'm not trying to insult anyone's religion or culture, which is why I am refraining from giving like commentary on the Bible verses or the Quranic verses because that's for you people. And you deal with that with your imam, deal with that with your pastor. It's not up to me to tell you whether it is right or wrong. I beg. I'm only reading it in relation to what's going on with this topic. I'm not trying to like tell you practice, don't practice, believe. I'm not, please, that's not my jurisdiction. Ahem. So moving on. Then we have community support. Religious communities can be a source of support for women's rights initiatives, providing platform for discussion and advocacy. However, they can also be sources of resistance if feminist goals are seen as conflicting with religious doctrines, which is the case in many situations. An example of this is in 2013. Nigeria attempted to change Section 29 4B of its constitution which provides that any woman who is married shall be deemed to be of full age 30 and thereby prohibit child marriage. This was opposed by Islamic State of Nigeria, who called any attempts to prohibit child marriage as un-Islamic. 4. Feminist movement and religious reconciliation. Religious feminism. Some feminist movements within the Abrahamic tradition seek to reconcile feminist principles with religious teachings. These movements work to reinterpret religious texts and teachings in a way that supports gender equality. Interfaith dialogue. Interfaith dialogue can facilitate discussions on gender equalities and women's rights among different religious communities. This can help bridge gaps and promote a more inclusive approach to feminism that respects religious beliefs. Then we have education and social initiatives. Women's education. Religious organizations sometimes run educational programs for women, which can include feminist perspectives on gender equality. These programs can empower women while respecting religion values. Social services. Many religious organizations provide social services that support women, such as shelters for victims of domestic violence, healthcare, and education. These services can complement feminist efforts by addressing immediate needs and promoting women's well-being. So while religious movements in Nigeria can stand against feminism, sometimes they also, help. As I just gave examples of, like in the building of shelters, creating education, creating health, like healthcare, and just working towards the protection of women, basically. Intersectional challenges, cultural variability. The impact of Abrahamic religion on feminism can vary significantly across different cultural and regional contexts within Nigeria. For example, the influence of Islam in the northern states may differ from the influence of Christianity in the southern states, leading to diverse experiences and challenges for feminist movements. Class and regional differences. The effect of Abrahamic religion on feminism can also intersect with class and regional differences, affecting how feminist issues can be addressed and prioritized. So we have criticism and controversies, misuse of religion. In some cases, religious doctrines may be interpreted or used in ways that justify gender discrimination or limit women's rights. Feminist movements may face challenges in addressing these issues within religious contexts. Resistance to change. Efforts to promote gender equality may face resistance from those who view feminist principles as contrary to religious teachings. This resistance can create barriers to achieving gender equalities and implementing feminist reforms. The kidnapping of the Chibok girls, as I said like earlier on in the video, by the Boko Haram, an extremist group, is deeply intertwined with religious extremism. These groups' action reflects their distorted interpretation of Islam, which opposes female education and empowerment, thus exacerbating the challenges faced by women in religiously conservative and conflicts within regions of Nigeria. In the Chibok kidnapping, 276 girls were abducted by Boko Haram in April of 2014. As of 2024, 107 have been rescued or escaped, with 169 still unaccounted for. So, now we are moving on to the tradition's effect on feminism, because we talked about religion and then we also have tradition and culture. So we have gender roles and expectation. Traditional gender roles. Many Nigerian tradition enforce rigid gender roles, assigning specific duties and responsibilities to men and women. Women are often expected to prioritize domestic responsibilities and caregiving, which can limit their opportunities for education, employment, and personal development. Then we have social expectations. Traditional norms can dictate how women should behave, dress, and interact in society. These expectations can restrict women's freedom and contribute to gender inequalities. This strict dictation of women's behavior and dressing encourages victim blaming in cases of sexual assault. First of all, when a woman is raped, it is seen to be partly her fault. Questions like what was she wearing, where did you go, what time of the day was it, it all comes into play. The society blames the victim for acting in a way as to attract or tempt the rapist, and then goes ahead to stigmatize the victim of rape as to attract or tempt the okay sorry goes ahead to stigmatize the victim of rape as being defiled or loose enough to attract rape. Even in court, the victim is required to prove she did not give consent to the rapist. As a result of this, many cases of rape go unreported. Yo, guys, this video is long and time is passing so much. Cultural practices and gender inequality. Marriage practices. Traditional marriage practices such as bride price and arranged marriage can reinforce patriarchal structure and limit women's autonomy. These practices often prioritize familial and economic consideration over individual choice and equality. In the Yoruba tribe, the tribe I am from, women are traditionally expected to kneel while serving food to their husbands, reinforcing the hierarchical gender dynamics. Additionally, premarital customs require women to demonstrate obedience and submission, which can perpetuate gender inequality. Also, the bride price paid by the groom's family in the Yoruba and Igbo culture can imply a transactional view of marriage, reducing women to property. The Hausa Fulani practice of marriage by capture, where women are forcibly taken as wives, disregards their consent and reinforces gender inequality. Similarly, in some northern communities, early marriages for girls, often arranged by their families, limit educational and career opportunities, perpetuating cycles of dependency and subservience. Among the TEEV, traditional norms require women to undergo cleansing rituals after childbirth or during marital disputes, which can infringe on their personal autonomy and reinforce gender based discrimination. These practices often place women in subordinate roles and emphasizes male authority. Okay, so I cannot speak on the other like tribes and the roles that and the effects that some of these traditions have, right? But I can definitely speak on the kneeling down parts. So in my tribe, the Yoruba tribe, right, it's seen or as it is seen as acceptable or it's even expected of you to kneel. Why, even on days like your wedding day, you're expected to kneel down for your husband. You're expected to kneel down to serve him food. You are expected to be respectful and be when you're addressing him, you're supposed to address him respectfully. And in quotes, honesty, you know, count me out. That's what I'm gonna say. Count me out on on all of those BS. Count me out. What? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no effing way. Like we ain't come to play. When doing that, when doing that, not here. I'm always even the idea of bride price, like the whole idea of bride price has really led to a lot of issues. Do you guys know that marital award is not a crime in Nigeria because because it is seen as, oh, you've paid like the bride price, you've gotten married to this person, like you now belong to your husband, so you don't have autonomy over your body again. Practically, that's what the law says. Yo, that's what I'm gonna say. Yo. Anyways, moving on, we have inheritance laws still under cultural practices and gender inequalities, right? Inheritance laws. Customary inheritance laws in many Nigerian society may favor male heirs, leaving women with limited rights to inherit properties or assets. This disparity can affect women's economic independence and security. In Igbo land, widows and daughters do not have the right to inherit their husband's or father's property. A widow may be allowed to live in the matrimonial home provided she is of good behavior and does not remarry. However, if a woman dies and leaves property behind, her husband inherits her property, while her daughter will only inherit her wardrobe. Okay. An exception to this patriarchal practice occurs when a man is only survived by daughters, in which case the eldest daughter may inherit her late father's property, provided she would remain unmarried for life. Okay, now this is called Nrachi custom. Yoruba customary law has certain differences from the Igbo. Under Yoruba law, it is the children of the deceased, whether male or female, who are entitled to succeed their father's estate. In Sule versus Ajis Shegiri 31, a court case in Nigeria, it was held that the property must be equally divided between the children regardless of sex. However, the widow is part of the estate of the deceased and has no inheritance rights. In Benin culture, there is what is called Ibiogbe. By this custom, it is only the eldest surviving son of a man that can inherit the house that the man last lived and properly buried. It cannot be given to anyone else. In Ijaw land, women can inherit property of the father with exceptions to farmland or fish pond. Only the men have rights to the land and fish pond, as the women are deemed to have left their father's house and cannot carry farmland to another man's house. So everything is all based on man, man, man. Can you carry this to a man's house? Are you going to marry? Are you not going to marry? It is all based on a man. Then we have um FGM, female genital mutilation. In some communities, traditional practices like FGM are still performed. despite being harmful and violating women's rights. Feminist movements work to challenge and eradicate such practices. In Nigeria, approximately 20% of women have undergone FGM. Estimates suggest that around 2% of these women may die due to complications from the procedure. Additionally, about 10 to 15% suffer from severe health issues such as infection, chronic pains, and complications during childbirth as an effect of FGM. Then we have impact of education and employment. Access to education. Traditional beliefs may prioritize education for boys over girls, leading to lower educational attainment for women. This disparity affects women's ability to pursue careers and achieve economic independence. Then we have workplace participation. Cultural norms that emphasizes women's domestic role can limit their participation in the workforce. Women will face barriers to accessing job opportunities and career advancement due to traditional expectations. Personally, my own maternal grandfather prioritized the education of his male children over his female children. His female kids were only able to get education due to the help of their mother. He decided to stay completely out of it because, according to him, women belong to the kitchen. And mind you, he's an educated man himself. He literally works in the medical. He worked in the medical field. Anyways, moving on, we have legal and institutional challenges. Customary laws. In Nigeria, customary laws that govern personal status matters, e.g., marriage, divorce, and inheritance, often reflect traditional practices. These laws may not align with feminist principle of gender inequalities gender equality, and can perpetuate discrimination against women. I already stated cases about this while talking about inheritance earlier on when I listed some of the court cases. Resistance to change. Efforts to implement feminist reforms may encounter resistance from traditional institutions and community leaders who view these changes as conflicting with cultural values. Then we have women's empowerment and tradition. Cultural preservation. Some feminist movements seek to empower women while respecting cultural tradition. They advocate for the reinterpretation of traditions to support gender equality rather than perpetuate discrimination. Then we have community based solution. Traditional community structures can offer platforms for promoting women's rights and feminist ideals. Engaging with community leaders and leveraging cultural values can help advance feminist goals in a cultural sensitive manner. Then we have traditional roles and feminist advocacy. Roles of women in tradition. Some traditional roles, such as women's participation in communal decision making or leadership position in cultural activities, can be leveraged to promote feminist ideals and advocacy for women's rights. In my culture, there are some leadership positions under the monarchy that can only be held by a woman. Example like Yaoba, the king's mother, Olori, the queen, and regents, like the king regents, right? In I'm from Ekiti State and also Oyo State. So, Shaki to be precise. In Ekiti State, the part of Ekiti State where I'm from, right, women are allowed to be kings basically, but only king regents. You're only allowed to be a regent basically, but you're actually allowed to be king. A lot of a lot of states don't even allow it at all. It's a win is a win, I guess. So we have feminist figures and tradition. Prominent feminist figures in Nigeria may work within traditional framework to advocate for change. They often balance respect for cultural values with the pursuit of gender equality. Some of these figures include one, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti, born between 1900 to 1978, was a pioneering Nigerian feminist educator and activist. She founded the Abeokuta Women's Union (AWU) to combat colonial and patriarchal oppression, advocating for women's rights and political participation. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti activism included opposing unfair taxation and promoting women's education. Her efforts were instrumental in challenging the gender norm of her time, and she became an influential figure in Nigeria's struggle for independence and women's rights. Then we have Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, born in 1954, is a renowned Nigerian economist and former finance minister. As the first female and African Director General of the World Trade Organization (WTO), she has been a prominent advocate for economic reform, and gender equality. Okonjo-Iweala's work includes significant contribution for Nigeria's debt relief and economic policies. Her leadership emphasizes the role of women in economic development and global dominance or governance, sorry, breaking barriers in traditional male-dominated fields. Then we have Amina J. Mohammed. Amina J. Mohammed, born in 1961, is a Nigerian diplomat and the current Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. She has been a leading advocate for sustainable development and women's rights. As a former Minister of Environment in Nigeria, Mohammed plays a crucial role in shaping politics on climate change and environmental sustainability. Her work highlights the intersection of gender equality, and environmental issues, influencing global discussion on both fronts and advancing women's leadership in intersectional affairs. Then we have intersectionality and tradition. Regional variation. The impacts of tradition on feminism can vary slightly across Nigeria's diverse cultural and ethnic groups. Feminist movements must navigate these regional differences to address the specific needs and challenges faced by women in different communities. I only speak about very few ethnic groups because both my knowledge and research are limited, but there are so many tribes in Nigeria and they all have different practices. Intersectional challenges. Women's experience of traditional practice are often influenced by other factors such as class, ethnicity, and religion. Feminist advocacy may consider these intersecting factors to effectively address gender inequality. Then we have eight, promoting change. Education and awareness. Raising awareness about the impact of traditional practices on women's rights and advocating for education can help challenge discriminatory laws and promote gender equality. Then we have legal reforms. Advocating for legal reforms that address discriminatory tradition practice and align with feminist principles can support progress towards gender equality. The tied up or trial by ordeals laws, including trial by hot oil and trial by poison, required individuals to undergo dangerous tests to prove innocence, often leading to death. Similarly, the widowhood practice, which involved harsh rituals and ostracism for widows, including forced isolation and dehumanizing rituals, were phased out as they were deemed inhuman. The human sacrifice practices where individuals were sacrificed to appease deities were also banned. These practices were abolished as a modern legal system and human rights standards took precedence. This goes to show that archaic laws can be changed and not everything traditional is good and should be encouraged or continued. I think we can continue shooting for tonight, but the video quality has obviously dropped. I was thinking of maybe postponing the shoot, but it's like since we're already here anyways, why not, why not continue? Today's video is really, really long, man. It's late, there is bad light, and everything is, my eyesight is like fighting me because I've been reading this stuff for hours without actually seeing what I'm reading. So, yeah, that's why I've just been falling over my words. Anyways, this is actually bad because I think the light is going to reflect bad on my glasses and then make everything look weird. I really don't know. Let's just get right into it. Back to where we are. So, legal restriction on women in Nigeria. Customary law and inheritance. Inheritance rights. In many Nigerian communities, customary law govern inheritance, which often discriminates against women. Women may be denied inheritance, right to property, land, and other assets, with property typically being passed down to male relatives. I spoke more about this in tradition and religion, effect on feminism earlier on, right? Then we have marriage practices. Customary marriage practices can impact women's legal status and rights. For example, in some cultures, women may have limited rights in marriages and divorce, and customary marriage arrangements or agreements may not always align with statutory laws. In Nigeria, legal restriction on divorce for women stem from a combination of cultural, religious, and legal factors. Under customary and Sharia law, which govern many aspects of personal status, women often face significant barriers. Customary law can require a woman to prove serious misconduct by her husband to obtain a divorce, while women must seek judge intervention. often facing lengthy and costly legal processes. So this restriction creates hurdles for women seeking divorce, reflecting the protect gender inequalities in women's in Nigerian legal and cultural landscape. I don't know, is it because of the light? Like the light is reflecting right into my eyes and I really cannot see right. So then we have marriage and family law, polygamy. In certain Nigerian region, practical particularly where Islamic law, Sharia is practiced, polygamy is legally recognized. This can create unequal dynamics in marriages, with women having less say in the number of spouses their husband may take. Marriage age. The legal marriage age varies across different regions and laws. In some areas, the minimum age for marriage is lower than international standards, which can lead to child marriage and its associated consequences for young girls in northern Nigeria. The legal marriage age varies by state and is influenced by Sharia law, which permits marriage for girls as young as 12 years old. Then we have violence and domestic abuse. Domestic violence. There is no comprehensive national law specifically addressing domestic violence. While some states have enacted their own laws, enforcement and support mechanisms can be inconsistent. Victims of domestic violence often face significant legal and social barriers to seeking justice. While talking about religion effects, I spoke about Quranic verses and Sharia laws that support domestic violence. According to a 2019 survey by the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics, 30% of Nigerian women aged 15 to 49 have experienced physical violence, while a shocking 68% have encountered emotional, economic, or sexual abuse. And according to UNICEF in 2022, 1 in 3 women experience physical, sexual, or intimate partner violence and are also victims of trafficking or are subject to violent social norms. Then we have sexual assault. The legal framework for addressing sexual violence can be inadequate. There are inconsistency in how many sexual assault cases are handled, and cultural stigma often prevents survivors from reporting crimes and seeking legal recourse. Marital rape is a form of R word that is largely ignored and it is hidden behind the iron curtain of marriage. Marital R word is any unwanted sexual act committed by a spouse or ex-spouse without consent. I touched it on this earlier, but I didn't really go like deep dive into it. I forgot I even wrote more about it here. Um, the law does not recognize marital R word as a crime. Note that the notion that a husband cannot be guilty of R word upon his wife is predicated on the general accepted view of the common law. It is based on a theory articulated by Matthew Hale, Chief Justice in England in the 18th century. So a law that was made in the 18th century is still affecting us in 2025. One as backward as that, to be precise. Okay, who wrote in 1736 that the husband cannot be guilty of a rape committed by himself upon his lawful wife. Something from 1736 in 2025. Good. The husband cannot be guilty of harlot committed by himself upon his lawful wife, for by their mutual matrimonial consent and contract, the wife has given up herself in this kind unto her husband, which she cannot extract. Section 282 2 of the Penal Code expressly provides that sexual intercourse between a man and his own wife is not harlot, provided that she has attained the age of puberty. And Section 6 of the Criminal Code provides to the effect that a husband cannot R his wife. Lies. False. A husband can R his wife. If Nigeria law does not say so, other laws say so. Besides, this notion that if something is permitted legally, then it is also like morally acceptable or something. It's a lie. Wasn't slavery legal some years back? Was it the right thing to do? No. There are many things that were legal, but does not mean that it is right. Legality does not equal right. Legality is not is not the basis for right and wrong. Just because something is legal or something is not illegal does not mean that it is right. Just because marital reward is not legal, I mean, just because it's not illegal does not mean that it's actually the right thing to do. So let's go on. Sexual and reproductive rights. Abortion laws. Abortion is heavily restricted under Nigerian law. It's only permitted to save a woman's life, but not for cases of rape, incest, or fetal abnormalities. This restriction limits women's access to safe reproductive health service. Contraceptive access. Access to contraceptives and reproductive health services can be limited, particularly in rural areas. This restriction affects women's ability to control their own reproductive health and plan their families. I explained this earlier in the video. I'm not sure I went into it deep enough, but obstructing abortion is not safe. It's just a way, like it's putting restriction on people and causing people to actually get it done, like illegally instead. And in that process, they lose their lives or they lose something else. Putting a ban, I know I'm not articulating this well, but putting a ban on abortion does not protect or stop anyone from actually getting it if they really want to get it. You're just making it difficult for them to get it and you're putting them in danger, basically. Yeah. I need to learn better articulation. But anyways, let's move on. I think I spoke on this earlier in the video. Anyways. So employment and economic rights. Equal employment opportunities despite legal provisions for equal pay and non-discrimination. Women often face disparities in employment opportunities, wages, and working conditions. Discriminatory practices can limit women's access to economic opportunities and career advancements. Estimates suggest that about 30 to 40% of women who sue for pay discrimination in Nigeria achieve favorable outcomes, such as settlement or court rulings in their favor. Property rights. Legal restriction on women's ability to own and inherit property can hinder their economic independence and security. Customary law in some regions restrict women's property rights, affecting their financial stability. Then we have legal protections and gender equality. Gender equality laws. While Nigeria has some legal provisions for gender equality, such as the Gender Equality Bill, these laws are often inadequately enforced or lack comprehensive coverage. The implementation, the implementation of gender equality measures can be inconsistent. Human rights framework. Nigeria is a signatory to various international human rights treaties that advocate for women's rights. However, the translation of these international communities into effective domestic legal protections can be challenging. Religious laws. Sharia law. In the northern state of Nigeria, where Sharia law is practiced, there are specific legal protections or provisions that affect women's rights, including aspects of marriage, divorce, and inheritance. Sharia law can sometimes be at odds with feminist principles and statutory rights. Denominations. Some Christian denominations also have traditional view on gender roles and women rights, which can influence local practices and attitudes towards women legal and social status. We spoke more about these two topics earlier. Also, I spoke more about Islamic and Christian influence in the video because they have the higher population and influence in Nigeria. I know there are other religious groups like the traditional religion, the pagans, the atheists and agnostics, but like in Nigeria's broad religious denomination and divisions, like those other group of religious people are less than 5% of the general population. Or even like that practice other religions apart from Christianity and Islam alone. There are some that practice both Christianity, Islam, and some even practice both Christianity, Islam, and the traditional religion. But if we go for those that practice like each of the religions specifically, like separately, or even maybe together, the amount of people that practice religions that are not those two are very, very, very little. Which is why there is very small like talks about their influence on feminism in Nigeria. Anyways, but I do acknowledge that those are not the only religions we have in Nigeria. Education and health. Access to education. While there are laws promoting access to education for girls, cultural and economic factors can limit educational opportunity for women. Gender-based discrimination in education can impact women's long-term opportunities and empowerment. Healthcare access. Legal and systemic barriers can affect women's access to healthcare services, including maternal care, including maternal health care. The lack of adequate healthcare infrastructure and service can impact women's health and well-being. Then we have political participation, representation. Women's representation in political and decision-making positions remain limited. Despite efforts to increase female participation in politics, women often face barriers for running for office and holding leadership positions. I generally spoke on a lot of this earlier, but this is just like a run through on like how feminism is affected by the legal system and how the legal system affects feminism in Nigeria basically. But most of the topics that we discussed here were already discussed like earlier in the video. So now let's move on to the misconceptions about feminism. Feminism is anti-men. Misconception. Feminism is often perceived as being anti-men or seeking to undermine men. Reality. Feminism advocates for gender equality and seeks to address the systemic inequalities faced by women. It does not aim to diminish men's rights or value, but to create a fair and equitable society for all genders. Feminism is a Western concept, misconception. Feminism is sometimes viewed as a foreign or Western ideology that does not fit with Nigerian culture and tradition. Reality. While feminist movements have roots in the Western world, the principles of feminism, such as advocating for equal rights and opportunities, are universal. Many Nigerian feminists work within the context of their culture and social realities to promote gender inequality. Gender equality, not inequality, please. Then feminists want to abandon traditional roles. Misconception. Feminism is believed to advocate for women to abandon traditional roles such as homemaking and motherhood. Reality. Feminism supports women's rights to choose their roles freely, whether they wish to stay whether they wish to pursue careers, stay at home, or balance both. It emphasizes that women should not be restricted or judged based on traditional roles, but should have the freedom to make their own choices. 4. Feminism means rejecting religion. Misconception. Some believe that feminism is incompatible with religious beliefs and practice. Honestly, on this part, I do agree that feminism is incompatible with religious practices and belief. Even with some traditional practices and belief, I do agree to that. But for the sake of the video, reality, feminism is not inherently opposed to religion. Many feminists in Nigeria and around the world work within their religious framework to advocate for gender equality and challenge discriminatory practice. Feminism seeks to address inequalities regardless of religious affiliation. Feminism is only for educated or wealthy women. Misconception. Feminism is often seen as a movement for educated or wealthy women who have the luxury to focus on gender issues. Reality. Feminism needs to address the needs and reality of all women, regardless of their socioeconomic status. It is about advocating for equality and addressing issues that affect women across different educational and economic backgrounds. Guys, do you notice that my nails broke off? I was crying about it on Instagram some days back. Anyways, um, 6. Feminism is a threat to family structures. Misconception. Feminism is sometimes viewed as a threat to traditional family structures and values. Reality. Feminism advocates for the right of individuals within the family unit, promoting equality and respect. It does not seek to dismantle family, but to ensure that family relationships are based on mutual respect and equal rights. Feminism is only about women issue. Misconception. Feminism is perceived as focusing on exclusively on issues affecting women rather than addressing broader social justice issues. While feminism primarily focuses on gender equality, it intersects with other social justice practices or issues such as economic inequality, racial discrimination, and LGBTQ plus rights. Feminism advocates for a more inclusive and equitable society for all. As long as women are a part of a group, feminism is present. Feminists are angry and aggressive. Misconception. Feminists are often stereotyped as being angry or aggressive in their activism. Reality. Feminists, like activists in any movement, have diverse approach to advocacy. While some may be passionate and vocal, many feminists work through dialogue, education, and collaboration to promote change. Like me now, I'm a feminist and I'm very vocal about my views, but the way I go about talking about my views or my opinion is different from how another feminist would talk about our view and our opinion. We are not a monolith, basically. We are diverse. People approach topics differently. Anyways, moving on. Feminism is not relevant in Nigeria. Misconception. Feminism is sometimes seen as irrelevant or unnecessary in the Nigerian context. Reality. Feminism is highly relevant in Nigeria, where gender inequality and discrimination are prevalent issues. Feminist movements in Nigeria addresses specific local challenges and work to promote gender equality within the Nigerian cultural and social context. Feminism promotes dysfunctional gender relations. Misconception. Feminism is sometimes thought to promote dysfunctional or adversarial gender relations. Reality. Feminism aims to create healthy and equitable gender relations. It seeks to eliminate discrimination and promote understanding, respect, and equal opportunities for all genders. Misconception. Only women can be feminists. Reality. Men can also be feminists. In Nigeria, where gender norms are deeply entrenched, it's crucial to recognize that men advocating for gender equality play a vital role in challenging patriarchy and supporting women's rights, contributing to more inclusive and effective feminist movements. So, how feminism has improved life in other African and Western countries with proof. One, Western countries. We have the United States, United Kingdom. So those are the two options I used for my examples here. United States legislation and policy changes. Feminist activism led to landmark legislation such as the Equal Pay Act of 1963 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited employment discrimination based on sex and helped pave way for gender equality in the workplace. Then we have reproductive rights. The Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, a result of feminist advocacy, even though the Roe v. Wade has been overturned in 2025 in some of the states, but it still had a lasting impact for a long time. So, the Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, a result of feminist advocacy, legalized abortion and expanded women's reproductive rights. Although the decision has been challenged and partially overturned in recent years. Exactly. So we have social attitude. Feminism has played a crucial role in challenging gender stereotypes and promoting gender equality in education, sports, and media. The hashtag #MeToo movement, which gained traction in recent years, has addressed issues of sexual harassment and assault, leading to greater awareness and legal actions. Then we have the United Kingdom. Gender equality legislation. The Equality Act of 2010 consolidated various anti discrimination laws into one framework, promoting gender equality and protecting against discrimination in various areas, including employment and education. Women's representation. Feminism has contributed to increase female representation in politics, with more women elected to parliament and holding key positions in government, such as the appointment of Theresa May as Prime Minister. Workplace rights. Feminine, Feminist campaigns have improved workplace conditions and rights, including parental leave policies and measures to close the gender pay gap. The gender pay gap reporting requirements mandates companies to report their gender pay gap, promoting transparency and accountability. So we have African countries now. African countries that are included in this video include South Africa, and Kenya. So for South Africa, legal reforms. The post-apartheid Constitution of South Africa, 1996, enshrines gender equality and women's rights, including protection against discrimination and violence. The Domestic Violence Act, 1998, provides legal recourse for victims of domestic abuse. Political representation. South Africa has seen increased female political representation, with women holding prominent positions such as the role of Bumzile Miablo Nkuka. Sorry, I'll put the name up with my bad pronunciation. Um, as deputy president and the establishment of the South African Women Parliament. And even in some African countries, in two African countries, I think Tanzania and I've forgotten the name of the other one. They have female presidents, but I think there are only two that I know of. Tanzania and one other country. I should have really researched that. I'm sorry. Then we have social impact. Feminist organizations like the South African Feminist Alliance and the Women's Legal Center has been instrumental in advocating for women's rights, addressing gender-based violence, and promoting gender equality. Then we have Kenya. Legal protection. The Kenya Constitution of 2010 includes provisions for gender equality and women's rights, such as the Sexual Offense Act 2006 and the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act 2011, which criminalize harmful practices and protect women's rights. Education and empowerment. Feminist initiatives have improved access to education for women and girls. Programs like Girls Effect and CampFed work to enhance educational opportunities and empower young women in Kenya. Political participation. Kenya has seen increased female participation in politics, including the appointment of Margaret Kenyatta as First Lady, who has championed women's issue and the election of women to various political offices. We have impact evidence. Increased life expectancy and health. In many Western countries, feminist advocacy has contributed to improved healthcare access and health outcomes for women, including better maternal health services and reproductive health care. Economic participation. Feminism has promoted women's participation in the workforce, leading to greater economic independence and contribution to national economies. For example, the participation of women in the labor force has increased in many Western countries due to feminist advocacy for equal employment opportunities. Educational attainment. Feminist movements have increased educational opportunities for women and girls, leading to higher level of educational attainment and professional advancement. This has contributed to closing the gender pay in education and professional fields. Legal protection and rights. Feminism has led to the establishment of legal frameworks that protect women's rights and promotes gender equality. This includes law against gender-based violence, workplace discrimination, and reproductive rights. Then we have how feminism is still improving life in Nigeria. So we've talked a lot about topics like what feminism is, the different ways of feminism, how feminism, you know, affects Nigeria. We've spoken about the effects, like the effects of religion on feminism, the effect of tradition on feminism, the legal effects on feminism. Just we've done a really deep dive. So now we're going to talk about the how feminism is still improving life in Nigeria. I think that's the last section for today. And we're finally done. Guys, I'm so tired. I'm so excited that we're almost done because I've been sitting on this video for so long. Like you guys cannot imagine how long I've added the scripts. And this was supposed to be my first video. And if you check, my first video was like 5 months back, right? 5 months ago. But I've been planning this even before then. Like I wrote the scripts even before then. So you cannot imagine how excited I am to like just have this video out. Then um our feminism is still improving life in Nigeria. We have legal reforms. Advocacy for legal changes. Feminist organizations in Nigeria are actively working to reform outdated law and push for new legislation that protects women's rights. For example, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act (VAPP), passed in 2015, aims to address and prevent violence against women and children, including domestic violence, sexual harassment, and harmful practices like female genital mutilation. I think I spoke on this earlier. Then we have efforts against child marriage. Feminists are advocating against child marriage and pushing for the enforcement of laws that set the legal age of marriage at 18. Activists work to ensure that laws like the Child Rights Act are implemented across all states. Actually, the feminists in Sierra Leone were able to do this recently. I think late last year or earlier this year, they were able to get the legal age in their country to be 18. And congratulations to them, honestly. Like, they had a rejoicing ceremony for it, the first lady and the women in the political state in Sierra Leone, and I was really excited that that was able to happen for them. Hopefully, we can get that to happen in Nigeria. Something happened some months or like a few years back, um where one of the senators was pushing to get the female orphans in the states married off. And the female orphans we're talking about in this video are all under 18. In fact, all under 15. And he felt that the right thing to do was to marry off the children to other people instead of putting them through education and the government taking care of them. He felt like the right solution was for him to push that they should marry them off. And he was really, really pushing for it. If not for the feminist pushback, I don't even know if the law would have been passed by now. Or I don't even know if the law was finally passed later on, anyways, that the girls were going to get married off instead of do what children do, which is get an education and build a life. Then we have empowerment initiatives. Sorry, we have advocacy and awareness. Increased awareness. Feminist group and activists are raising awareness about gender-based violence, discrimination, and women's rights issues. Campaigns like hashtag no more and hashtag me too are gained traction in Nigeria, bringing attention to issues such as sexual harassment and assault. Educational campaigns, organizations such as the Nigerian Feminist Forum and WIMS, which is Women in Business, in Management, Business and Public Service, work to educate the public on gender equality and women's rights, promoting a cultural shift towards greater gender sensitivity and respect. Empowerment initiative. Economic empowerment. Feminist organizations are focusing on economic empowerment for women through training programs, entrepreneurship support, and financial literacy initiatives. Programs like Women in Tech Africa provide women with skills and opportunity in the technological sector. Educational opportunities. Initiatives such as the Camp Fed Nigeria work to improve educational access for girls, particularly in rural areas. Feminists advocate for policies that promote equal education and opportunities and reduce dropout rates among girls. Then we have political participation, increased representation. Feminists are working to increase women's political representation and participation. Advocacy efforts aim to address the underrepresentation of women in politics and decision making roles, promoting female candidates and supporting women's leadership. Women's Political Network, organizations like the Women's Political Participation Network work to support and train women interested in politics, helping them navigate the political landscape and run for office. Then we have support for victims of violence, legal and social support. Feminist groups provide legal assistance, counseling, and support services for survivors of gender based violence. Organizations like the Mirabel Center offer support to survivors of sexual assault, providing medical care and counseling and legal aid. Then we have hotlines and shelters. Establishing hotlines and shelters for a victim of domestic violence and abuse is a crucial aspect of feminist work. These resources offer immediate assistance and safety for women escaping abusive situation in Nigeria. The National Domestic Violence Hotline 070 80607480. I'll put it on the screen. Offer support for domestic violence victims. Then the Women's Right Advancement and Protection Alternative (WRAPA) and Project Alert provide shelters and advocacy. This organization empowers women, offer legal aid, counseling, and refuge from violence and abuse. The Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team, DISVERS, in Lagos also provides support. Their hotline is, I've given you their hotline, 070 80606486. Oh, this is another number. They offer emergency association. Sorry, they offer emergency assistance. Oh my god, my leg is cramping. They offer emergency assistance, counseling, and resources for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. Then we have cultural and social change, challenging stereotypes. Feminists are working to challenge and change harmful gender stereotypes and cultural norms that perpetuate inequalities. Through media arts and public discourse, they address issues like gender roles, body image, and violence. Promoting positive masculinity. Efforts are being made to promote positive masculinity and involve men in the fight for gender equality. Programs aim to educate men about the importance of gender equality and encourage them to be allies in the feminist movement. Then we have intersectional advocacy. Addressing diverse issues, feminists in Nigeria are increasingly focusing on intersectional issues, recognizing that women face multiple layers of discrimination based on factors such as ethnicity, class, and disability. Intersectional advocacy ensures that the need for the most marginalized women are addressed. Then we have support for the LGBTQ plus rights. While challenging, feminist groups are also advocating for the rights of LGBTQIA plus individuals in Nigeria, pushing for broader acceptance and legal protection for all gender identities and sexual orientation. So we have finally come to the end of the video, guys. I want to cry. I can't believe I finally did this. Oh my god. We finally reached the end of the video. So um special thanks to the TCs, Women's Right and Feminism in Nigeria, the journey so far by Nasin, DCA, and me, and my own brain. And ChatGPT also really helped. I know. The world is now anti-AI. Don't use AI this, don't use AI that. But I needed help with gathering some of the information. As you know, like Nigerian informations online are not like arranged and it's also not easy to get. So yeah. So if you're still with me to the end of this video, I say a big thank you. I hope you were able to learn a lot about feminism, and I hope this video was able to at least educate you, even if it's not going to change your mind on feminism. I was able to educate you, was able to let you know what feminism actually is and what it actually stands for. And I would really hope you enjoy this. As if you watch this point, if you watch to this point, like, share, and subscribe. And also in the comment section, let me know what you want. Let me know what video you want me to make next. I know I was supposed to make a video on media manipulation, and I've been saying I would make a video. I'll make a video, and I swear I already completed the script for that. And also, I'm even thinking of making the video that I'm going to be making. The script I completed is actually about mass manipulation, but I'm also going to make one on media manipulation because I thought media manipulation was, the what the press does, like manipulating the public. But then media manipulation turned out to be what like celebrities, actors do, like in manipulating media to fit their narrative. So because of that, I I already made the mass manipulation video, but I'm also going to make one deep dive on media manipulation too. If you guys like this format, let me know. If you don't like this format, if you want me to be maybe more serious, more organized, I don't know, maybe like the content is too long or something, just let me know what you guys think. And the grace of that is only given to the people that watch to the end. You people that not watch to the end, I don't know. I really don't know. Why do you have an opinion when you did not watch to the end? Anyways, oh, let me remove this for now. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. It was really, really nice having like you guys with me again. And let me know what you would like to hear from me more. Also, I'm also creating videos. I'm also planning to make like to go back to Reddit series and also to do like more manual recommendations, which you would see I'm already like uploading some of it. In fact, I already uploaded like a new manual video, but like I privated it so I can actually edit it very well and then I'll put it out. So yeah, thank you for watching till the end. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys want to hear more from me. And yeah, see you. Bye.